Russia's nuclear arsenal has long been a source of global tension, a relic of the Cold War that still looms large in modern geopolitics. The idea of nuclear war conjures images of doomsday scenarios, devastated cities, and a world forever changed in the blink of an eye. While many assume that major metropolitan areas like New York or Los Angeles would be among the first targets in a full-scale attack, recent reports suggest Russia may have a different list in mind. According to a controversial Russian state television broadcast, there are specific military and strategic sites within the United States that Moscow could strike if war were to break out. These locations range from key command centers to once active bases that seem oddly out of place on a modern target list. Today, we'll explore these potential targets, their significance, and what an attack on each location might mean for the future. The Pentagon, the nerve center of U.S. military operation. At the heart of any discussion about potential nuclear targets is the Pentagon, the headquarters of the United States Department of Defense. This five-sided fortress in Arlington, Virginia, is not just a symbol of American military might. It is the central hub for planning, strategy, and execution of national defense. A direct hit on the Pentagon would be devastating. Despite its reinforced concrete and sophisticated defense systems, the sheer power of a nuclear blast would obliterate the structure and much of the surrounding area. The loss of the Pentagon wouldn't just be about the destruction of a building. It would create chaos within the U.S. military command structure. While there are contingency plans and backup locations for top military officials, the immediate loss of the Pentagon would cripple decision-making in the crucial first hours of a conflict. Beyond its strategic importance, the Pentagon serves as a powerful psychological target. Striking it would be a direct attack on the symbol of American military dominance. In the eyes of Russia or any adversary, such a move would send a chilling message that no place is safe. Camp David, the presidential retreat with strategic importance. Camp David, the secluded presidential retreat in the mountains of Maryland, is another potential target. Unlike the Pentagon, this site isn't a hub of daily military operations, but it holds significant strategic and symbolic value. Historically, Camp David has served as a secure location for presidents to conduct high-level meetings, including crisis management discussions. It has been the backdrop for major diplomatic negotiations, such as the Camp David Accords. During times of heightened tension, the president and top military officials could retreat here to make key decisions. A nuclear strike on Camp David would not only be a symbolic attack on the U.S. presidency, but could also be an attempt to eliminate key leadership figures in a surprise attack. The surrounding area, rich with forests and mountainous terrain, might mitigate some of the immediate blast effects, but the fallout would still render much of the region uninhabitable. More importantly, Camp David is located near another significant site, the Raven Rock Mountain Complex, also known as Site R. This underground military facility serves as a backup command center for the Pentagon, making it an even more appealing target for an enemy looking to disrupt U.S. military coordination. Jim Creek Naval Radio Station, a critical link to U.S. submarines. One of the more surprising targets identified in the Russian state broadcast was Jim Creek Naval Radio Station, located in Washington state. This seemingly obscure facility is a key communication hub for the U.S. Navy, specifically its nuclear submarine fleet. Jim Creek plays a vital role in transmitting signals to submerged submarines, ensuring that they remain in constant communication with military command. These submarines, armed with nuclear warheads, are a crucial part of America's nuclear deterrent strategy. By eliminating Jim Creek, Russia could disrupt U.S. submarine operations, making it more difficult for American forces to respond to an attack in a coordinated manner. The station's remote location, tucked within the mountains of Washington, might seem like an unusual choice for a nuclear strike, but its importance cannot be overstated. In a scenario where communication lines are severed, America's second strike capability, its ability to retaliate after an initial attack, could be severely compromised. McClellan Air Force Base, a mystery target with a questionable role. McClellan Air Force Base in California is one of the more puzzling entries on Russia's purported target list. The base was decommissioned in 2001 and is now home to a business park and a Coast Guard air station. The Russian news broadcast suggested that McClellan still plays a role in managing U.S. strategic offensive forces. However, the reality is that it no longer functions as a critical military installation. This raises questions about whether Russia's intelligence on U.S. targets is outdated, or if there is an unknown strategic reason for its inclusion on the list. If Russia were to strike McClellan, the impact would be far less severe than targeting an active military base. However, nuclear war is not just about destroying military assets. It's about creating confusion, panic, and economic disruption. Even a non-military target can serve a strategic purpose in a broader attack plan. Fort Ritchie, an abandoned base with a link to a secret bunker. Another unexpected name on the list is Fort Ritchie, a former military training center in Maryland that was shut down in 1998. Like McClellan, it no longer serves an active role in the U.S. military. The likely reason for its inclusion is its proximity to the Raven Rock Mountain Complex. Site R, as it's known, is an underground nuclear bunker designed to house key government officials during a crisis. A strike on Fort Ritchie could be an attempt to disrupt access to this emergency command center. Even though the base itself is inactive, the surrounding area still holds strategic importance. If Russia's goal is to cripple the U.S. government's ability to coordinate a response, then Fort Ritchie, by association, becomes a valuable target. Washington, D.C., the political epicenter of the United States. While not explicitly mentioned in the Russian news broadcast, Washington, D.C. is an obvious and inevitable target in any nuclear conflict. The nation's capital is home to the White House, Congress, and numerous government agencies that would be crucial in managing a war effort. A strike on Washington would aim to decapitate the U.S. leadership, eliminating key decision-makers and creating a power vacuum. The destruction of the capital would also have a profound psychological impact on the nation, potentially demoralizing the population and disrupting the ability to organize a coordinated response. Cheyenne Mountain Complex, America's underground fortress. Nestled deep within the Rocky Mountains of Colorado, the Cheyenne Mountain Complex is one of the most secure and heavily fortified military installations in the United States. Built during the Cold War, this massive underground bunker was designed to withstand nuclear attacks and serve as a command center for North American Aerospace Defense Command, NORAD, and the United States Northern Command, U.S. NORTHCOM. The facility operates within a network of tunnels and chambers, encased in granite and reinforced with blast-resistant doors. It was originally constructed as a shielded nerve center from which military officials could coordinate a response to an incoming nuclear attack. Although its role has diminished in recent years, NORAD's primary operations were moved to Peterson Space Force Base, it remains a critical backup facility. In a full-scale nuclear conflict, Cheyenne Mountain would likely serve as a command post for coordinating missile defense and military response. A Russian strike on this location would be an attempt to cripple U.S. missile defense capabilities and limit America's ability to track and intercept incoming warheads. Destroying or disabling Cheyenne Mountain would not be easy, given its location deep inside a mountain, but even a near miss could render the facility unusable and complicate military coordination. Targeting this fortress would send a strong message. Russia aims not just to strike, but to neutralize the United States' ability to respond effectively. Minot Air Force Base, a key hub for America's nuclear arsenal. Located in North Dakota, Minot Air Force Base is home to a significant portion of the U.S. nuclear arsenal. The base hosts both intercontinental ballistic missiles, ICBMs, and strategic bombers, making it one of the most critical components of America's nuclear triad. Minot is one of only 2 bases in the U.S. that house the B-52 Stratofortress, a long-range bomber capable of carrying nuclear warheads. Additionally, the base maintains a fleet of Minuteman III ICBMs, which serve as a key deterrent against foreign nuclear threats. The combination of air and land-based nuclear capabilities makes Minot a high-priority target in any nuclear war scenario. A successful strike on Minot would severely hinder America's ability to launch a retaliatory attack. Russia would likely target the missile silos spread across the region, attempting to neutralize as many ICBMs as possible before they could be launched. Even if not all silos were destroyed, the psychological impact of losing a critical nuclear base could be profound. Unlike more symbolic targets such as Washington, D.C., Minot is purely a military objective. Eliminating it would directly weaken America's nuclear response capabilities. Kings Bay Naval Submarine Base, the home of the Atlantic Fleet's nuclear submarine. On the southeastern coast of Georgia lies Kings Bay Naval Submarine Base, the East Coast home to the U.S. Navy's Ohio-class ballistic missile submarines. These submarines form a crucial part of America's nuclear deterrent, capable of launching nuclear missiles from undisclosed locations at sea. The advantage of submarine-launched ballistic missiles, SLBMs, is their stealth and mobility. Unlike land-based silos, which are fixed targets, submarines can move undetected, making them difficult to eliminate in a first strike. However, while the submarines themselves are elusive, their home bases are not. A direct attack on Kings Bay would aim to destroy submarines docked for maintenance, disrupt deployment operations, and cripple a major component of America's second strike capability. If Russia were planning a preemptive nuclear strike, targeting Kings Bay would be a logical move to reduce America's ability to retaliate. Although some submarines would likely be at sea and survive the initial attack, losing the base would impact operations, resupply efforts, and the long-term effectiveness of the U.S. Navy's nuclear fleet. As one of only 2 submarine bases housing America's nuclear deterrent fleet, the other being Naval Base Kitsap in Washington, Kings Bay represents a vital military asset. Its destruction would leave the United States with fewer options for launching a counterstrike, potentially shifting the balance of power in the early stages of a nuclear conflict. Now it's time to hear from you. What do you think about the locations on Russia's potential target list? Are there any other sites you believe should be considered strategic targets? Share your thoughts in the comments below.